the internet for sure has created this like narrative of if anybody is ever out of line with you, dump them. We need some room for growth and mistakes and
it's not so black and white.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Something Something with Eric Newman. I'm Eric Newman, coming to you live from the Comedy Cellar podcast studio, our home where we've been for months. I have Zoran, I have John with me as always. We have a special guest, and I haven't had that many guests. This is our third official guest, and we have Emma with us, last name unknown, last name untold. So Emma is a therapist here in New York City. I would say I was maybe 4 or 5 months out of my very serious relationship.
Yeah,
and I was mourning. Was I in a mourning state when you?
Yeah, you asked me for therapy. I think
for therapy. I think I found out you were a therapist, and then was like, I'm gonna take advantage of this girl. That's how I take advantage of women. There's those guys out there who are real scumbags. I don't do that. Okay, I emotionally take advantage. Okay, so I find out you're a therapist.
Yeah,
and then I try to get free life advice out of you.
Yeah,
as much as I possibly can, and I believe I did. And
for 2 hours.
For 2 hours, wow, you were clocking me. See, these therapists, they always clock you, no matter what. Even in real life, they're like, all right, I could have made. That was a half hour. I could have made $75. You're always clocking. But anyway, I thought you were doing it out of the goodness of your own heart, but that's okay. But no, I did truly appreciate that you were really helpful, and it was clear to see that you have a knack for this. And then I found out you were a therapist, so that makes sense. I think we were talking a little bit about attraction in general. We're going to call this episode "What Attracts Women." What attracts women? Very, very complicated issue that has gone on forever and will continue to go on forever as guys desperately try to cling to any idea about what attracts women as they possibly can. We're just collecting data. That's all we're doing. As guys, we're just collecting data through mostly failed experiences to try to understand what attracts women. I don't think women even know a lot of the time. But let's see if we could dissect here a little bit. Emma, unknown last name. Should I keep doing that? Emma, unknown last name.
Yes.
There's this joke. You like it?
Yeah, it's good.
We'll keep it. Okay. We'll keep it for now. We'll see how the rest of the episode goes. Maybe we'll evolve into something, better over time. But I always laugh because my buddy Frank's a comedian, and he always says this joke. It was women say they can tell within 30 seconds if they want to sleep with a guy. It's all right, ladies, how about telling us? Which I think is a hilarious joke. And I forget, we have to figure out who did that. We will, but
what, you would want them right away, they see you, and instead of going on the date, just
say, hey, I want to sleep with you.
No, but what if they don't?
What if they don't sleep with us?
What if they don't want to go on the date? What if there's no attraction?
Well, if there's no attraction, oh yeah. Well, I think he meant
within those 30 seconds, if you don't want to sleep with them, would you rather know that?
Oh, so you're saying, oh, that's actually an interesting way to frame that, right? Because what he meant was, how about letting us know that you do want to sleep with us, which is obviously what every guy wants to hear. But you're right. In most cases, women are choosing no. So would you want, let's say you saw a girl at a bar. We'll ask the men in the room, okay, Emma? So John and Zoran, this is directed to you because Emma had a really good question here. If you're a single guy and you're at a bar, would you want to know right away which women have no desire to sleep with you? Right away. Like you're looking around, you're like, oh, maybe that one. Oh, she's cute from afar. Whatever. Would you want to know which ones are completely not an option immediately, even if it hurts your feelings? You would. John?
Yeah. I mean, even just as a how am I being perceived thing.
Right. Okay.
Well, because everything's a cost-benefit analysis. Why would I want to spend time trying to get someone that who's already not interested?
So so that's interesting. So maybe we should implement that rule, enforce it in society, where you walk into a bar as a guy, and a woman has to. It's almost like they're swiping left to right, but in real life, they have to come up to you and say, "Hey, man, don't even think about coming over here because there's no way I'm having sex with you at any point."
They do that by already saying I have a boyfriend, so that's kind of
yeah. I was saying more if you go on a first date and they know immediately, you say hi, you hug them, and they know right away they're I'm not
So this is like assuming it's a dating app scenario.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You meet
exactly.
somebody on an
Like-
app. You swipe. I don't know which way. Which way is yes, right or left? I've never known.
I don't-
You swipe yes on a guy, whatever
Left,
direction
yeah.
that's in. And you start talking and you have a conversation and you decide, you know what, like the conversation's going well enough and he seems to be attractive enough or whatever metrics you have for dating to at least give him a shot and meet up with him in person. What happens in that 5 seconds?
You get catfished.
You got catfish because he's way shorter, because you hate his vibe and you can tell instantly. What makes you feel like you got catfished in the majority of scenarios? What could some of the factors be?
Something I hear that's like very common here is height.
Okay.
That's like
Do they lie a lot? Do guys lie a lot? I've never joined a dating app, but if I did, I think I would lie down. Like I'm 6'1.5", but I
Yeah.
think I would say I was like 5'8". No, I'm serious because fuck this girl. Seriously, what? Oh, you're only gonna. How shallow is that? So I would lie myself down and then see if my personality could make up for it, and then I would come and she'd be pleasantly surprised because she'd be like, "Oh my god, he's a lot taller." I'm like, "Gotcha, catfished. I'm actually killing it." Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to name any names. You don't even have to say if it's you or your friends.
Yeah.
But what's the worst scenario you know of or have heard of or have experienced as far as height goes? Like, what was expected versus what the reality was?
Worst story. Probably 2 inches only. Like
2 inches off?
Yeah.
And that you notice that a lot?
From my personal experience, I can't speak on that, but like I hear that very commonly. It's something people like.
Don't you think 2 inches is kind of like, eh?
Yeah, I wouldn't care much, but that's a big factor.
That's a big
for
factor.
people.
Okay, cool. So
I think voice too is a big one because you can't, if you're doing it based off dating apps, you don't know what this person sounds like, and a lot of the time here, it's like more of a feminine vibe,
right,
that you can't pick up on,
right,
it without.
She's
meeting.
describing me. I know she's describing me, but I know she's describing me. But then that also kind of leads to my other question, which is like, well, shouldn't you have a phone conversation or a FaceTime before you even go on a date? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see how there could ever be harm in doing
I agree.
a pre-date FaceTime.
I think it should be a prerequisite
Me
to
too.
going on a date with a
Same.
stranger.
Sam, I
Okay,
do.
we're aligned.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And we're going to argue a lot later, but at least we have one thing that we agree on. Now, let's take dating apps out of the equation completely. Attraction-wise, how much truth do you think there is to the notion that women know pretty quickly, like within a minute or even under, that a guy's heavily in the running or not? How much truth is there to that?
Like you could argue it either way. For that,
Yeah.
like initial physical attraction, I think you know right away. Like you
Within
see-
10 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds.
Yeah, you see the way they're dressed, their looks, their voice, their mannerisms, the way they hold themselves, and you're either attracted to them or not.
Okay. Now tell me the
The other side. to it,
tell me the other side.
it can, like, attraction doesn't only have to be based on looks, obviously.
It builds with connection, personality.
Exactly.
He could win you over with other attributes.
Yes.
And not just his physical appearance. Do you think that women, generally speaking, we'll bring the apps back into play here for a second, just to circle back. A guy lists that he's 6'2", and she gets there and he's 5'10". Is the fact that he's 5'10" the issue, or is the fact that he lied the issue? Or both?
Both.
Okay.
But also depends on the girl and
Right.
her values. 4 inches, though, is like a lot to lie about.
Right.
Like, that says something about your character if you're lying that much.
I'm really proud of myself here, by the way, because she's made 2 jokes. She's said 2 things that could have obviously led me to dick jokes, and I passed on both of them. I passed on both of them, and I just had to report it because I couldn't just go on with everybody thinking that I wasn't thinking. I needed.
You're very mature.
I needed you to know it was a lot.
I'm testing you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so I want to go back to that first group of guys, which are the ones that are so obviously attractive that within seconds, you're like, oh, this guy is like attractive. I've heard a million scenarios of women who meet a guy at a bar or somewhere at a restaurant or a public place, and from across the room, she's like, oh my God, that guy's so good looking. And he approaches her or she approaches him. And within a minute, she's like, this guy sucks. He's like either like a douchebag or like has no substance, like pretty boring, like not funny. Like there's just nothing there, right? Do you feel like that's pretty accurate to assume that if a guy is really good looking, like, you know, and obviously attractiveness is subjective, even physical attractiveness, but
like Jacob Elordi.
Nobody's gonna say Jacob Elordi is not good looking. Nobody's gonna say George Clooney's not good looking, right? We just that's the difference between our generations, by the way. Jacob Elordi was her reference point, and George Clooney was mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, how much of a leg up do you get as a woman? On average, how much leeway does attraction give you initially? Like you're Jacob Elordi, maybe not that level, but someone who's obviously very physically attractive to a mass scale of women. How much leeway do you get?
I think it can apply to both girls and guys.
Right.
Right. You see a attractive girl and they have that leeway too. But then reversing the question, if she doesn't have a good personality, or
then you sleep with her, but you don't take her seriously. Now, how much leeway? Am I wrong? No. Okay. I will say, dude, I've been in therapy for 6 years, and one of the reasons I wanted you on this pod also, other than liking you as a person, is I have like a real deep appreciation for what you do, and my therapist is like I said to a friend the other day, I'm like, I'm not getting married until I'm as sure about a woman as I am about my therapist. Like, I love my therapist and she's helped me immensely. So like, I just want you to understand that when you have patients who are really committed to doing the work on themselves and rely on you to help them through that process, you have an immense impact on their lives. And I just wanted to quickly get that out there in case I forget to say it anywhere else in this podcast. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've always been someone that, and I think more than most men, and I think because I think I have a better read on my emotions, or I think I'm connected to my emotions a little better than most men I've met. So I think when I'm out at a bar or something, or plenty of times like after a show or someone, and some girl's like clearly trying to sleep with me and my friends are around, they're all just like, you're a pussy if you don't sleep with her. I mean, that's the shit we get from our guy friends.
Yeah.
Like fuck her, man, fuck her. And I'm like,
I don't. Double standard, yeah.
Right. Something's bothering me about her and I don't know exactly what it is. And I can't just completely neglect that and betray what I'm feeling emotionally just to fuck her because I have the option to, and most guys might not have as many options to, and they're just like, you're an asshole, you're an idiot if you don't. It's like, so I'm not saying like, believe me, I've slept with a lot of women that like I wasn't like, oh my God, you're gonna be my serious girlfriend, but I at least want something. Like I want some sort of connection, even if it's a fling that has a potential to maybe be a relationship. I'm not saying I haven't had like a one night stand or whatever, but like I think in most cases that's sort of where I'm at with it. But I think most men, at least in a lot of scenarios, try to fully separate their emotions from physical behavior with women. Like, I'm not saying, I think truly that deep down everybody wants to find love and everybody wants to have a serious connection to some degree or whatever. But like, I think that women are much more synced up with like, I'm sleeping with someone that I at least think could potentially be something. And men will just be like, she wants to fuck me, I'm going to fuck her.
But you're saying the older you got, the more you separated from
For sure. And I think
that.
I was like that even at like 22. Like, I don't think I was not a guy who walked into a bar, got drunk and just tried to fuck somebody. Like I was never that guy. But as I got older, I think I at least understood a little more why. So it's a pretty empty experience, even though it feels good in the moment. I don't know how I would be if I didn't feel confident that I could get girls. I think I would just be so exhilarated by the idea that a woman wants me,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe even if her personality kind of does suck,
You would
maybe,
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I would just be like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, but, you know, I think in general, women are much more synced up with the like, oh, like, I find him attractive, but his personality sucks. I'm probably not as interested.
Yeah, I can't get to that level of attraction of like fully, let's say, sleeping with the person if there's not that emotional connection. Is what you're saying. Like for girls, it's harder to separate the two and just do it, like go on that date and have a fun casual night, versus guys who can kind of just not care as much and go through with it and not really think about all the other stuff that comes with it.
Right, like the emotional impact, how I'll feel the next day, because I know for a fact that guys could sleep with someone that they really don't like or weren't that even attracted to at all, just because they're like, I'm horny or I was drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
I know that's still an empty experience the next day for them, but I think because women on average are just a little more emotionally intelligent and have a better read of how they feel and can internalize that a little better and process it in a more thorough way, I think that it just probably happens less.
Yeah. It's also like so complex and not so like black and white. Like there's so many different variables that
100%. And the other thing I was going to say was that like I'm sure even if Jacob Elordi or Jacob Elordi type, who is a complete piece of shit or like bland, like really boring, bland, had no charm or whatever, no charisma, I'm sure there's still a lot of scenarios where that guy gets laid from maybe women who don't have the same optionality that a lot of women do.
Or don't have that EQ to care or see that side to that person where they don't really have a great personality, but they're like not cognizant of all of that. And they're just like looking for a fun night. Like, you know, it does exist for girls too. It's less common.
Well, that's why like when girls talk to me about, and I try my best to be as least judgmental as possible. When you're dating someone, sometimes, like I feel like with my almost fiance, who I've referred to her this entire time in this podcast, that was the girl who I, you know, we ended like shortly. I mean, a little bit before I met you. I found myself like kind of slut shaming her at moments, I think, and like I hated how that made me feel because it was wrong. And like when you're so invested and you're so emotionally connected, things hurt you in ways you couldn't have even imagined, and so they kind of come as a surprise to you also. The way I was responding and the way I was behaving was a little bit of a surprise to me. So I was like, wait, what? Who am I?
So during the relationship,
the relationship, yeah. Because I started to realize that I've done so many things that if they were held against me or, you know, someone who wasn't involved that I was now like dating started like giving me shit about things I did 5 years ago, like I would be upset because I don't want to relive all of that because some of it I'm not proud of. So that got me to kind of, you know, reassess a little bit but okay, we're off track here a little bit. Okay, so going back to our original topic, how much leeway do you think on average a guy's attractiveness is going to give him?
If you're looking to be serious with someone and all they have is attraction, there's no connection or stimulation like emotionally, and values don't align, and that can only take you so far. I think it's more rare to have a guy who's like very good looking versus like you spoke about having options. I feel like in the city, it's just there's more pretty girls than hot guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without question. I mean, I only notice the guys, but there's way more pretty girls than there are like objectively attractive men.
Yeah.
Right? What I love about that, what you just pointed out, was that I talk very often in this podcast about how most women seem to settle. there's statistics on dating apps that like 90% of the women swipe yes on 10% of the men, right? Meaning like that every 10 women that are on dating apps are essentially going for the same one guy. Or that's like her first choice or whatever it is, right? Because like you said, there's a lot more attractive women than attractive men. But women really, really value emotional support, an emotional connection, a guy who's going to like be there for her and listen and you know, all that stuff, right? So circling back to this idea that like a guy approaches a woman at a bar or a woman sees a guy at a bar and within 10 seconds she's like, oh my God, that guy's so attractive. That's probably the minority at that bar, like male wise, right? That's probably like when you go to a bar, your friends go to a bar. I mean, how many people are obviously that attractive in that way? Probably a small percentage of the men there, right?
Yes.
You would say. Do you feel like a lot of the times women are sacrificing that physical attractiveness in a man for those other qualities? Like, you know, personality or sense of humor or, you know, whatever. I mean, we've all, I'm sure you've had men in your life and your friends have had men in their life where you're like, oh my God, he's so fun to be around, but there's just no spark. There's no physical attractiveness there from my end. Does it feel like a lot of women are settling because of that?
Yeah, not dating a guy who's like a 10 on 10 and just dating him for other qualities, I think is very common. Like you see the classic older perspective around it where the guy has other qualities that some girls adopt that more traditional outlook and they're going to like be with that guy because he can provide for them and focus less on like the look element of it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And yeah, at a certain point also looks fade.
That's a great point. But I guess what I'm trying to get more into is not the physical characteristics of the guy, but the attraction that exists between him and the girl. The category of settling that I'm talking about, which I think is a much bigger category of women and men, is when a woman kind of just goes, he has a lot of resources. That could be one aspect of it. And or he'll always be there for me emotionally. I'll always feel safe with him. And
I can trust him.
I can trust him. He'll never cheat on me, which I know that women's antennas are up constantly for that, you know? My issue that I have with that relationship scenario is that I feel like a woman is one encounter away with a man that she does find very physically attractive and or provides that spark that's missing in the current scenario she's in and will either cheat, depending on how principled she is or not principled she is, or at the very least have the innate desire to do so.
Yeah.
And that is nothing but a telltale sign that the scenario she's currently in is not fulfilling her in probably a way she already knew, because I think women are on average are very emotionally intelligent.
I think it's an active choice. Like you can settle or view it as you're being in a safe, secure partnership and you're choosing that every day, knowing that there's a trade-off that this guy who you're marrying or feeling like emotionally secure with isn't having wandering eyes, you know, isn't going out with his boys or coworkers and being unfaithful at the bar. And that's the trade-off by choosing that maybe more safe, secure, stable relationship that you might view as settling, which you could view it as that.
Sure.
But you can also look at the positive aspects of that as it being a more sustainable marriage if you do want to have kids and have that stable, more predictable lifestyle. But at the end of the day, all it comes down to is what you value and what you want. And it might not be the more exciting option or route, but if you go the other direction, you might be looking at the wrong pool of guys where these guys are better looking, more exciting, travel more, have more to offer on paper, and have these company startups, and our members,
stand-up comedians.
like
Yeah,
whatever it is,
all the great jobs.
But they're never settling. You're never settling, and it's like this constant push and pull where it's hard to meet in the middle because you both kind of are always thinking there's more and like the grass is greener.
Yeah. Which is a huge aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Because then like if you have this mentality of just like I want to constantly be excited, then that's a value that probably doesn't have much ground for you to stand on.
Yeah,
right?
a relationship should be exciting, but like at a certain point you're out of the honeymoon phase, and
right.
you kind of have to adjust to that new normal and make it exciting in different ways, but it's not going to be exciting the way a first date is.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of, I think, committing to someone long term.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty vocal about my history on this podcast, and I'm like, I've been unfaithful many times, and also like I've been involved with women who have been unfaithful with me or like whatever. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. When I meet a woman, and I don't do that anymore, and I'm dating somebody, and I really didn't do that much the last few years anyway. I think I've kind of like grown out of trying to getting excited off of scandalous situations and whatever. Like I feel like it just feels like kind of an addiction at some point. You're just like I said, like you're
especially
chasing
here.
excitement.
Yeah, especially because you could meet someone every night if you want
Right,
to.
100%.
Yeah.
So you're chasing excitement, and I don't think excitement that comes from a foundation of distrust or whatever, no matter which side you're on, I don't think is A, not healthy, B, morally wrong, or A, morally wrong, B, unhealthy, and C, just probably a waste of energy, at the end of the day. But I don't have any regrets for those things I did, because I think it taught me a lot about the human condition, men and women, relationships, whatever, connections. It feels to me like when a woman makes it pretty clear to me through her actions and through the attention she's giving me or whatever, maybe she's tangled up with a guy, maybe she's married, maybe she's engaged, maybe she has kids. Any of those scenarios, I've done them all. Not bragging. The one thing that all of them kind of had in common, being the other guy in the scenario, is that these seem to have been women who settled for someone that was not their first choice. It seemed to have been a scenario similar to the one that I mentioned earlier, where like the woman's just like, he's safe, he's reliable. I want to get married. I want to have kids.
Yeah.
I'm 32, whatever the number is, whatever they feel is their time to,
I think timing matters.
Timing matters.
Yeah. For guys too.
Yeah, for sure.
You can meet the right girl at 24 and you're not in that. No, you work as your priority, and you can't commit the way she needs, and it doesn't work out for that reason. Yeah. So I think that's big.
And then relationships change also. That's the other thing. Like, I mean, I've never been married, but I know what it's like being in an 8-year relationship. And I know the evolution.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
I think a big thing for girls right now, too, is having high standards. And I'm curious, do you see that as a positive, or at what point is that like limiting?
I hear from friends of mine who are actively trying to meet women in the city.
Yeah.
They'll send me these like clips or whatever, like of women being like, yeah, there's like the guys just won't commit in this city. It'll be like a New York City podcaster or something.
Really?
Like the guys won't commit in the city. And I think what they mean by that is that the guys they specifically really want won't commit. And the reason they won't commit is because those guys that they specifically want are probably guys that a lot of women specifically want, which makes it harder for that guy to settle down. And so it's gonna kind of becomes like a cyclical thing, right?
A good example, I went for lunch with a friend this weekend.
Yeah.
And she's telling me she went on a first date and the guy didn't open the door for her. Like he picked her up, didn't open the door for her. And she's like, right then and there, like, no, you know, I'm not interested anymore. Like, is he viewing me like I'm an escort or something? I'm like, an escort? Because he didn't open the door. I'm like, at what point do we have to maybe like be realistic?
Be a little realistic.
Like give people a chance or.
Yeah, like in that scenario, it's like, well, maybe that's just you being a little too strict with because like, I don't know, like maybe he was nervous and he was trying to figure out like what he was going to say to you or what the next phase of the date would be or whatever, or working out some problem in his head, whatever it is. And he just like forgot. So that type of unforgivingness, I think, is like, that's not going to serve anybody. I mean, because that type of mentality is, it's the same mentality of just like, he said something wrong, cancel him. It's like, really? Should we have a microphone? Should we have a wire on you every day of your life? And then at the end of that, we can listen to your audio and see if you were an upstanding citizen every single second of the day. It's like everybody fucks up and we're human beings.
Yes,
so it's like,
I agree.
If we're going to hold someone to an impossible standard of having to behave, you know, incredibly well 100% of the time in every scenario, then none of us are ever going to pair up.
Disappointed, yeah.
Right. So it's like, yeah. So do I think that women's standards are too high? I don't really know. Do I think that men's standards are too high? I don't really know. But I know that the internet for sure has created this like narrative of if anybody is ever out of line with you, dump them. And it's everybody. It's like, we need some room for growth and mistakes and
it's not so black and white,
right.
Like, you know, or all or nothing. You kind of have to give people a second chance and actually get to know them and see maybe if it grows on you or if they can adapt and they messed up, but maybe next time they show you a different side to them. And
right. We do live in a world now where women are much more vocal than they've ever been and are much more independent and much more communicative. So why can't she just say, hey, like, I like when a guy holds a door open for me? And I know that's probably a hard thing for her to say. I'm not.
Yeah.
But why can't there be communication? Why does it have to be, you're either perfect when I meet you or that's it? Like,
it's like, you should know and I shouldn't have to tell you.
Can you speak a little to that and tell me sort of like what you feel like women are feeling and how you feel about it?
I'm not sure where it stems from, you know, or like how it's become so loud and pronounced, but I feel like there's this narrative, this maybe spoken narrative on TikTok or social media that the girl doesn't want to teach the guy. They just feel like he should know. And if they're teaching them, that means that inherently, like, they're just not the right person for them.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it.
And how does that play into the whole philosophy of every person's different and has a different set of expectations, and we still need to teach people how to treat us. We still need to teach people how to love us, right? Because I'm coming from I have a set of values and standards that I have.
And we're all different.
We're all different. And by the way, I have flexibility.
A big reason why women maybe don't want to teach or feel like they shouldn't have to is because that protects them in a certain way. If I don't tell you you're doing something wrong, I'm not giving you the opportunity to then potentially
get better
or reject the idea of doing that for me. You know, like, it's possible that a guy turns around and says, like, I don't want to change this for you. And then you're kind of making yourself vulnerable, giving the guy the opportunity to, like, not be receptive to that. So maybe girls aren't willing to be vocal about their needs out of fear that they might get rejected if they're
This is brilliant. So no, I love this. So when your friend, whoever that is, and I'm not shitting on her, but like just in this scenario,
yeah,
a person says the guy didn't open a door for me. He's not the one.
Mhm.
Not going out with him again. Done.
Yeah.
A lot of it is coming from a place of fear and insecurity that if she puts herself out there and vocalizes that she wants a guy to open the door for her because that's how she grew up, that's how she saw her parents do it, that's what's important to her, she feels like maybe the guy will be like, okay, you snooty bitch, or like, don't tell me what to do, or whatever. Even if the guy comes back with, well, I don't feel like I need to open a door for a woman, don't you think she leaves with a lot more resolve than if she just defensively put up a wall very quickly that goes, oh, no, okay, he doesn't open a door for me, whatever, in the long run?
Yeah. I agree.
You do agree. How scared do you think women are on average to be very vulnerable with a guy?
I think the deeper the relationship becomes and the more you get to know them and spend more time with them, there's like a correlation between those two variables. And naturally, you're going to develop feelings. And when feelings are there, it's hard to get hurt. That's when it makes
so
it.
Whereas you're supposed to be getting closer and deepening the connection, there's a little bit of resistance because part of you is saying the deeper I'm in, the greater chance I have of getting hurt if things don't pan out.
Yeah.
Right? And so do you think, with that in mind, coming back to the conversation of women getting in a relationship with a guy they're madly in love with, right? And that doesn't mean he's Jacob Elordi looks.
Yeah,
just
she's
attraction, madly in love.
connection.
The attraction's there. Doesn't matter how he maybe, he's probably going to be somewhat physically attractive, but that's varying degrees. You believe that you can really love a person, care about them deeply, and never quite be very attracted to them. Never quite have that spark of like, I really want to sleep with this guy. You believe that exists, right?
For me personally, I need that connection, like that physical
You need
attraction.
Because what it seems to me is that there's a lot of women who are in relationships or have been in relationships where they're like, oh, this guy's always there for me. And maybe it's, there's obviously the financial aspects sometimes of situations where like he's rich or whatever, or he has yachts, he has private planes, whatever. And I know most women don't really need that, but like
some do.
Some do.
Yeah.
Gold diggers. But I feel like in most cases when a woman ends up settling in a relationship or engaging in a relationship where they're not that attracted.
Yes.
No matter what he looks like, they're just not that attractive. They don't feel that spark.
Yeah.
You're trading attractiveness for power because you're not craving this guy physically or feeling that, I gotta sleep with this guy, because that's never been ignited in your system in regards to this particular man. You're able to control yourself more, stay a little more rational, right? Because as we know, the desire to fuck somebody in both scenarios will make you a little irrational.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of women will trade that intense attraction for a safe, reliable guy, not only because he's safe and reliable, but because she actually feels more in control of herself with him?
That's a great question. And I think you can't generalize all women to go in that direction of like choosing safety and feeling in control and like having power versus, feeling more of that spark and excitement.
Does it seem like something possible to you?
Yeah, I think if you don't have control and you're in that like hot and heavy and exciting dynamic,
up and down, left and right.
Yeah, you inherently aren't holding the cards and you don't have power, like you're saying, the same way that you would if maybe you're feeling more rational and in control of your feelings and, where you stand with him.
I've been with women personally in the past
Mm-hmm.
that I've gotten the impression that even they're surprised at how intense a response they have
Yeah.
for a scenario where they're like, whoa. And there's been varying degrees of accountability.
Yeah, because you have feelings and you're not
right?
being logical.
You're not being logical. But I can tell sometimes, and this is why I try to be like empathetic or whatever, like if I've been involved with a girl
And you can tell.
I can kind of, there are times where I was able to sort of tell
Yeah.
by just like observing.
Yeah.
Maybe she had only had like the safe option before me. Maybe it was just like a bunch of guys that she feels who were like good. I'm not saying she didn't have maybe some like crazy boyfriend in high school or whatever, but like, you're 15 or whatever it is. But like as an adult, maybe she's even surprised at the way she's emotionally responding because of different scenarios she's had in the past.
Do you lose interest if a girl's like acting that way? Or do guys like?
I mean, me and my buddies have this thing where it's like, and this is probably a shitty thing to say, but we'll just joke around and be like, dude, if she's acting crazy, that's kind of good because she cares. She cares. If she's acting, if she's not acting crazy at all and everything's just blah, that's indifference, which as a guy, there's nothing worse than dealing with a girl who feels indifferent about you.
If she's angry, it's good.
If she's angry, you fucking got her, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's sort of a little bit of the trade-off there. There's different degrees. Like my whole thing, and this is a thing that I think like, look, I know men are bad at it too, but I have to just speak as a man romantically involved with women. It feels like accountability is a issue pretty consistently with women.
Like you're saying girls.
Like because I've now dated a lot.
Yeah.
And so there seems to be a theme of like, yeah, it was crazy, but like whatever, like that was a week ago. We could forget about it. And it's like everybody has moments. Like again, we're human beings. We make mistakes. My whole thing is like I still need to know that you realized that wasn't okay and that you apologize for it and we move on. Done. Like, and I really don't think I'm doing it in some like egotistical like I got to be right. Like if I'm dating someone and I'm investing in them, like I also have gone through a lot of therapy and a lot of self-discovery and all this stuff. Generally speaking, and I've heard a lot of guys say this, that accountability seems to be an issue. Like saying sorry is this idea that you've lost the fight, you're giving up and you're subservient to your man or whatever. And whoever's wrong should apologize. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, like you're in a relationship, you're a team. And if somebody hurts someone's feelings, you can get into a greater discussion of like, okay, maybe you're too sensitive. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. That wasn't my intention. Don't hold it against me. Fine. Like there's all that gray area. But at the end of the day, like whoever's wrong needs to be accountable for the fact that they were wrong.
I agree. A girl or guy, you should be able to admit your faults, look inward, and if you did something wrong, be accountable, be mature, right now in 2026 or just like in this more modern dating world. Yeah. There's less of that and it's more just let's break it off because we don't want to have these harder discussions, Like why should I have these harder conversations? I can just go meet someone else. But then that also can leave you in that endless cycle of,
I love that you just said that because it does feel like that happens a lot. And I think with men also, I tell all my buddies, like the problem with most relationships is that people see them from a bird's eye view, just sort of this like general landscape of the relationship. Sure, part of that is true, but I see it as chess where you're making a series of moves. And those moves are very important because those moves individually on a micro level are what make the relationship on a macro level successful or not successful. I think that relationships are extremely fragile. You don't get away with anything in relationships, even if you think you're getting away with stuff, because you are having an emotional impact on the other person and yourself with whatever behavior you choose to participate in.
But when you're like, true, there's like truth to that. But I think when you're so infatuated and in love with a person, there is more forgiveness.
You can't ever take back the things you've done. You can go forward with them and make a decision to whatever, if there's infidelity in a relationship or something really shitty happens or whatever it is, even like a smaller level things like lying or constantly canceling plans or whatever they are. You're still, everything's being documented in your universe, right? So I'm not saying like hold things against people, but they still happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But the more committed you are, let's say you're 8 months in versus like 2 months in, it's easier to, if you see a person keeps canceling or is unreliable or is always late and not like consistent, it's easier to bail on the 2 months versus the 8 months.
Right. Because you figured, okay, I've already put, and that's why a lot of people change, right? Like you hear all the time stories of people who were like, oh my God, when I met him, he was like this. And then 4 months later, he's like that. Right? Because you're only showing the best versions of yourself in the beginning to try to, draw the person in that you're attracted to, that you're into. There's this line in this movie that Javier Bardem says in this movie, The Counselor, which I've brought up here many times. And he's talking to a younger guy who's like, he's trying to help with women and whatever. And he goes, you can do anything to a woman but bore her. How much validity is there to that? How valid is that?
Like, girls can't get bored?
Correct. Like incorrect.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean?
So his philosophy is basically that like the only thing that you can absolutely not do to a woman, and again, this is probably shitty. It probably implies a lot of shitty things, right? You could do this, you could do that.
Yeah.
But you cannot bore her. She can't be bored.
Like, you guys don't have the ability to bore them, or you shouldn't.
Is there anything that you think women hate more about a guy than him boring her? I mean, obviously cheating and whatever, right? But like, I'll make a case for the fact that I think that those guys we talked about that women are settling for, just in the sense that like there's no like real like spark or whatever.
Yeah.
But they just sort of are like, oh yeah, like he's like a good safe option. I know he would be a good dad, things like that, right? Which are values and very important values.
Is that like the worst thing ever for women to be bored by a guy? I don't think it's the worst thing ever.
Pretty bad.
It's not great, but like,
is it pretty bad, Emma?
Yeah, but like I could think of worse things.
What's
like,
worse? Then he like cheats and fucks a bunch of hookers while he's in Vegas? What's worse than boredom? Tell me.
What's worse than boredom?
You can say nothing. And
feeling alone in the relationship, not being understood.
Okay. What would that look like? What would feeling alone in the relationship look like?
Them not giving a shit, not being there for you,
not being prioritized.
Yeah.
And where would boredom stem from? The idea that he's always there for you every second and there's no challenge and there's no...
I think boredom's more not having similar interests and not being able to like do exciting things together. Or just
big on exciting things together, aren't they?
Women are huge on exciting things. You have to do activities, guys. Always activities. I'm sick of this shit, dude. I'm sick of guys not coming with a good plan, dude. She doesn't have to adhere to the plan or say yes to the plan, but the guy's got to come with a plan. I'm sorry, dude. This is too much. What do you want to do? Oh, I asked you out. Now, what do you want to do? Fucking, you got to come with a plan. I hate that. Women love activities, for sure. But that's not the boredom I'm talking about.
What boredom? I don't know.
I'm saying let's go back to the idea that women act a little unhinged when it's a guy they're madly into, right? That's not boring. Like when a woman gets frustrated with you, she's not bored.
You're saying boredom's indifference, essentially.
Boredom is indifferent.
Yes.
Boredom is like,
yeah, there's that just...
You're not stimulating them. Mm-hmm. You're not emotionally stimulating or mentally stimulating them.
Yeah, you don't like them.
No, it's not that you don't like them, because you could really like them. You just may not have the qualities that can mentally and emotionally stimulate them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what I mean by boredom. Because the best compliment I've ever gotten from a girl, and we met for 20 minutes. She was this like girl who was friends with another girl I was seeing for a little while. And she goes, I feel like women are never bored with you. That she said. I said, oh my God, that's the nicest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because to me, what that means is this is all internal. Like, yes, of course I want to like take a woman to a nice dinner or, or a Broadway show or whatever. I'm talking about the internal boredom of just like the mental challenge, the witty banter, the substance, the chemistry, now I know chemistry can also be negative. I know chemistry could leave you down a path of being with the wrong people for sure. But I mean, like, assuming that your values are lined up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That flair of like, as a man not being submissive. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, and I think so.
Right? I think that men being submissive, I think that there's two sides to every woman, from my understanding. You tell me if I'm incorrect here from your experiences. I think that, as we said before, if a woman is in that category of women that date a guy that she's not that into, but he's safe, they trade away the attraction for some level of power. If they're with the guy that isn't good for them, but they have intense chemistry and they want to have sex all the time and whatever, that's trading away
their power,
sanity and power, right? And like the ability to stay rational and in control and emotionally contained for great sex and oh my God, that high and whatever. And somewhere in the middle is probably the ideal partner.
That's where you want to be.
Right? Boredom is in the same camp of indifference.
Yes.
And that when a woman even gets frustrated with you and yells or like cries or like acts like kind of a little crazy out of the blue, she's mentally and emotionally in it.
Yeah, she likes you a bit.
Boredom is disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm not really feeling anything.
Yeah, so it's not, you don't like the person.
And that's completely outside, that's completely separate from whether he's going to meet you at a subway stop or pick you up in a limo, or whether you're going to go to a Broadway show on a first date, or you're going to go get one drink at a dive bar on a first date.
Mm-hmm.
Those are external factors. And again, activities. Guys should always take girls to do activities and always plan stuff. I think from my experiences, the excitement exists in the mind and soul outside of everything else.
I agree. I have the same values. I think that's internally, those are the qualities that are most important. And like all the other stuff of like opening a car door, taking you to a nice restaurant, like that fades. But it depends. It's case by case. It depends on the person. Some people really do value that, and that has to be there in order for them to be willing to go out with this person.
And what if I argued back that they think they value that until they find somebody that gives them all those other things, and then they realize those aren't that important?
I think the people that value those maybe more external factors don't really care as much to like connect on a...
You don't think it's a growth thing? You think that's who they are?
What do you mean? Like,
is it someone who hasn't done enough work on themselves or hasn't grown enough?
Maybe, but not everyone wants to do work. And
yeah, they're idiots. What do you think most women feel really comfortable doing and like bringing to the table, and most women feel uncomfortable doing? And that could be emotionally, financially, whatever. What do you got? What does a woman feel comfortable bringing to the table, and what do you think the expectation is that she should bring to the table?
Like, that's so
vague and broad.
Yeah.
If a girl's trying to truly impress a guy.
Okay, got it.
If a girl's going on a date with a guy she's excited about, right? This is the small percentage of men that she's like, oh my God, this guy, right?
Yeah. That's the difference, because I think girls can show up and do the bare minimum, but if the girl cares. That's what
Okay, yeah, right.
distinguishes it.
Okay, so if a girl really cares, if it's that guy that she feels like, you know,
she's been wanting to go
she's
out
been wanting
with.
to go out with him for a while, or she met him and he just wooed her, like within the half hour they were talking, she was like, oh my God, this guy.
I'm excited to go.
It was
on
the
this
guy
date.
she saw at the bar from across the bar that she
Yes.
thought was wildly attractive. Then she actually meets him and he's just as charming, just as funny, you know, and she's really interested in going on a date with him or seeing where it, you know, progresses. What is the difference between how she will behave on that date, first date, versus the guy that's been wanting to ask her out forever, pursuing her? She doesn't feel the spark, but all her friends are saying, just give him a shot. How is she? What? Give me the two different versions of her in that scenario.
Okay.
Like what guys should look out for? What? You know? How would a woman behave in A and B?
I think what you said before, with your experience in the dating field for however long, you can tell based on the vibe, you know, based on how engaged the girl is in the conversation, based on like if they're laughing, if they're trying to make conversation, if they're curious, asking questions, if you feel that genuine interest in your life versus the girl who's just sitting on the other side of the table and answering questions and kind of less excited and into the conversation. You can kind of gauge a vibe on both ends, the same way that a girl can tell if a guy is interested. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but you can kind of gauge if a first date went well or if there's that connection based on conversation. And
if you go on a first date with someone and then you tell them after they text you the next day or whatever, and you're kind of, you knew right away, I'm not going out with this guy again.
Yeah.
And you send him like one of those like brush off texts, which is like basically like, I had a good time with you, but I think we'd be better off as friends or whatever that shit is, which obviously is bullshit every single time.
Bullshit.
Not bullshit, but not completely honest.
Yeah. Unless you say like the friend, that's honest. Like,
yeah, that's. But if he wanted to sleep with you or wanted to date you or both, you know, it's disappointing, right?
Yeah.
So do you think any woman is sending that text unless she's entirely sure that she doesn't want to pursue a romantic relationship with you?
If she's sending that text?
She's sending that text.
She's sure.
She's 100% sure.
Yeah. She's thought it through, you know. She's not being impulsive sending that text, because I think girls are open to a second date if they see somewhat of a potential. If they went on a first date and they weren't like, oh my God, I'm in love, this is my husband, but like I had a decent time, connection was there, not the way it was like, you know, maybe with my ex-boyfriend, like sparks flying, but maybe it could grow. They're open to giving it
another
second
shot.
Chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So thank you so much for tuning in to What Attracts Women, another episode of Something Something with Eric Newman. And I had lovely Emma, unknown last name, join me for this conversation. And we really appreciate it. And she was wonderful. And yeah, we do this every week right here from the Comedy Cellar studio. As usual, I'm with my buddies Zoran, John, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Peace.